everyone. Welcome back. You turned into Business Talk, the podcast where business meets health, wellness, and education. We sit down with entrepreneurs and community leaders to bring you real stories, real insight, and real takeaways you can use today. Today, I'm joined with Lisa Marie. She's the president of UR Learning Solution. How you doing, Lisa?
Good. How are you?
Doing awesome. Welcome back again.
Thank you.
So, listeners, before we dive in, please hit the like button, drop a comment, subscribe and support the show, and stay connected with future episodes. We're going to kind of talk and have an overview of the topic of SAT and ACT and how it relates in today's educational environment. So with that being said, Lisa, when is a good time to start for parents or students to start to understand more of when they should start preparing for ACT or SAT?
So a lot of parents want their child to start as soon as possible. As soon as they start high school, they want them to dive in. They want them to start learning what they need to learn to give them the upper hand. However, SAT, for example, there's a lot of algebra. My recommendation has always been wait till they complete Algebra 1. Some students take it when they're in 8th grade. Others take it when they're in 9th grade. So once they're complete with Algebra 1, they would have the foundation. So it's easier for them to understand the SAT math questions that belong with algebra. Because what happens is when they start sooner or before they take the Algebra 1 class, you're really getting a tutoring session on how to understand just Algebra 1 topics versus understanding how to dissect it and complete the question, because most of it would be word problems. And how to, how do I answer this? Well, if you don't have the foundation, it makes it harder for the student. So I always say wait till the Algebra 1 class is complete, and then definitely sign them up to start doing test prep for SAT or ACT.
So how should the student decide which they should go, which they should learn, whether it's SAT or ACT? What's a better fit for them?
That's a good question. So everyone's different, right? These two tests are completely different as far as strategies. Yes, you need to know grammar. Yes, you need to brush up on your reading skills. You need to know your math. However, the way it's structured, it's differently. So SAT is more for students that, whatever you learned in school, you're going to apply. Where SAT for the reading, it's more whatever that story says, that's what it is. And so when we're teaching or when I'm talking with a student trying to find out, do you like math? Do you not like math? Do you like science? Most of the kids lean towards what their friends are going to take, right? And it's like, okay, but that may be okay for your friend, but let's see about you. So I always like to engage the student in finding out, well, are you strong in math? Because ACT does have a lot more math topics than SAT. So it's good to have these conversations with these kids. And before they ever start a test prep course, try to find out what they like or what they're strong in versus, what they think is easier.
And I like that because you just kind of went over things that parents don't know or students are not familiar with. So this is so important if a parent or a student needs to understand the difference between ACT and SAT and how it affects college admissions. Let's talk about that. How does it affect college admissions?
So it does. Well, there's a couple of things. So it does. The schools do look at it to see, okay, is this within the range of where the student can be accepted in the school? But it also helps with Bright Futures, which is the scholarship that if anybody is graduating from a Florida high school and they qualify for the Bright Futures, it actually pays for their schooling, either 75 or 100% of the tuition for the school that they choose, as long as it's a state school, meaning it's in Florida. But yeah, a lot of the kids, it's been very competitive, so they want to score higher just to be accepted within the school. So
So when you talk about scores, what does an effective SAT or ACT prep actually look like beyond just taking the practical test itself or the practice test?
So you have to understand concepts. The test is geared more towards concepts. You know, what do you learn in school? You know, when you're doing algebra, what is X? What is X? Solve for the variables. Now, all the kids will definitely understand that. Some of the parents are going to be like, oh, I haven't taken algebra in a while. But the SAT, they want to see, does the student understand? And the question is not going to be, what is X, which your mind is being trained to answer the question that way. The question is going to be, what is X plus 10? Is X going to be one of the multiple choices? 100% it will be. But they want to see, is the student really reading the question? And now you have to add 10 to whatever X is. So we want to make sure that they're answering the question.
I like that. And you know, whenever we take a test, I know when I've taken tests in the past for school, there's always that anxiety, you know, we're ready for the next day, we got to study hard.
Yeah.
So when it comes to your business and kind of tutoring and helping students, are there any things that stand out that you kind of share with your students about prior to taking a test, what they should look at or do?
So do what you know, right? You've been preparing, you know the steps, you can recognize the questions to know how to answer them. Do what you know. Don't be so fixated on the time, because whenever you're fixated on the time, that's when you get nervous. That's when you want to use the calculator for everything, even though you know the basic stuff. SAT is geared to make it fall into what you're looking for. And the students, you know, the more practice they do, the more they'll see it, because you have to retrain the brain. But yes, do what you know. Don't worry so much about the time. Don't look at the clock. They will make an announcement, 10 minutes left. But yeah, as long as you're focused on what you have to do, you're zoned in, everything else will fall into place.
Very good. How about the advanced preparation prior to taking the test? Let's say you're a sophomore, you're a junior, you're a senior. When is that time frame that you should start preparing?
So again, after they completed Algebra 1, I have sophomores that come and they start, which is fine. I just don't recommend for the sophomore to take the test until the summer, because they don't look at your test score. It doesn't count, let's say. It doesn't count for the college admissions unless it's within the 2 years of them graduating high school. So they can do test prep earlier. If I get sophomores, I usually start them once a week. I can definitely tell you, I do not recommend to wait 2 weeks prior to when the testing is going to be done. It just doesn't seem like enough time. The only time I would say 2 weeks is acceptable is if they already understand all the concepts and they just want to practice. But even, you know, the strategies, you still have to practice that too, right? So
let's say a student takes a test, they get the score back, they're not happy with that score. What can they do? Can they do anything?
They can retake the test. The SAT, you can take it more than once. When you're in high school, you take it in March. In the public schools, you take it in March for free with the school. And then when you're a senior, you take it again in October. So, but in between that time, they can take it as many times until they graduate. Their last opportunity, if they're doing it for Bright Futures, would be June of their graduating year.
And as we wrap up here, do you have a story of, and no names of course, but a story of a student that you've helped that was like really struggling and kind of turned it around?
Yes. So there is one student, actually it's kind of funny. So I had a student, he came to me as a sophomore, and he did the full program. The full program for us is 50 hours. So he came once a week. I offer free refreshers. So he came to me once a week, every Saturday, until he was a senior. I think April was the last time that he came.
Well, that shows commitment, doesn't it?
Yes, definitely commitment and taking advantage of the free refreshers, which I'm fine with.
Right.
Come to find out, he thought that the score was just whatever you took on one test. Didn't realize that the schools also super score it, as does the Bright Futures. So I think it was maybe like a month before school started, and he sends me a text and he goes, "Oh, I don't think I made the Bright Futures qualifications." So I keep track. So I looked and I'm like, "You did? What are you talking about? On this month that you took it, you scored this in math, and then this was your highest in English. You can super score it." He's like, "What?" Called his mom. It was 11 o'clock at night. Called his mom, and I said, "I don't know if your son understands, but he does qualify for the Bright Futures. They're trying to do all the paperwork, everything as quickly as possible, because he didn't realize it. He thought you had to do it in one sitting." And I'm like, "No, you don't. Things have changed. Things are always changing, right?" But yeah, so he was quite happy because he didn't think that he would do it, but he did. He made it, and he was able to get the Bright Futures to go to school.
So how does that make you feel?
Oh, it makes me feel great. It makes me feel great. A little upset that he wasn't paying attention when I was talking about the super scoring, because I like to counsel the students, but everything was done. It worked out. Everything was done last minute. It all worked out for him. But sometimes, people find out a little too late, but I'm glad it definitely worked out for him.
Yeah, such is life, right?
Yes, yes.
So as we wrap up here, why don't you go ahead and provide our listeners with your phone number as well as your website that they can get a hold of you.
So it's Your Learning Solution. I don't know if you can see it's UR, the letters UR, and then Learning Solution. The website is www.yourlearningsolution.com. Phone number that you can leave a message is 407-658-7575. We do test prep. We can do evaluations. We do tutoring. If you have questions regarding any education, we can definitely help you on that path as well.
Well, thank you so much for your time. It was great to have you back again, as
Awesome.
always.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
listeners, if you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment down, and hopefully we can get those answered for you. Until next time.